Hello everybody. As you could see, I've decided to show my face to you guys. So this is how I look like with my full face. I don't know, I just felt like revealing myself for a change. I'm going to actually try to make this a monetized channel by taking PayPal donations, and also if you have questions about your narcissist or how to deal with your narcissist, or if you have any kind of concerns about that, I'd like to start schooling people, if you want to call it that, giving people advice about how to get over these hurdles that we all go through. I'm actually moving out in the beginning of July, so moving out for good, going no contact. Something I should have done a long time ago. I learned a lot. I figured out my mother. I figured out how to counter manipulate narcissists. And of course, after all of this drama and filming her and exposing her, I came to the conclusion that the only really good way of dealing with a narcissist is not to deal with them at all. It's a work of genius, isn't it? I feel like I've turned a corner, and I feel like I don't see myself as a victim anymore. And I learned so much that I want to impart to people that this is a fundamentally life-changing experience, and it changes you for the better. You end up having more intuition, a deeper knowledge of what evil is, and with that deeper knowledge of what evil is, I think that we can do great things. I don't think for a second that this is a lifelong problem. I think that you could regain your agency, regain your autonomy, and regain your self-confidence. And I'm here to help people do that. And my main point in my future videos will be research and academic knowledge about this topic. I want to convey it to other people. I want to give my perspective on what the literature says, why I think that a lot of it is bullshit from my own experience, and I say that very humbly because, in my opinion, much like anything else, if you ruminate about a problem, then you perpetuate it, and I feel that a lot of the literature is fixated on keeping people in a victim state, where it should be focused on overcoming and coming out the other end and being able to fend for yourself and being probably more resilient and probably more responsible than most people are as a result of this experience. And I wanted to show my face because I'm no longer afraid, I'm no longer intimidated, and I may just take down a lot of the other videos because I feel that they're too personalized, and they sort of they fulfilled their purpose, but I would like to keep them away from the public eye. I want to make this more scientific and more academic, a discussion. I still feel this is a very important topic. I feel like we need to address it, the nature of evil, what we could do with it, what we can't do with it. But I really feel like I turned a corner in that it doesn't consume me anymore. I don't think about it as often as I did before. I'm actually getting bored with sociopaths. When I see them, they're incredibly boring to me. Incredibly predictable to me. And rather than getting a traumatized reaction to them, I just sort of laugh off their attempts to confound me, to put me in a bad spot. And that's something you get to after a lot of research, a lot of learning, and a lot of time. You know, the world is such a big place. It's such a vast place. It's so inspiring. There's so many things you could do with your life. And to think about these roaches, these parasitic people, it's just not worth it. You'll eventually get to this point. And so, that's that. I made a lot of great friends here. You've helped me out more than I could ever thank you for, because to get to this point, I had to go through the process of talking about this and talking to people that get it and people that would empathize with me and that understood how deeply pained I was. And not for a minute do I ever want to diminish the gravity of this, and not for a minute do I ever want to convince people that they shouldn't go through the grieving process, because it's really necessary to get to the point where I am, where I no longer want to think about it anymore. It's not something that drives me 24/7. And I have other plans and other goals completely that are not related to this, because it's really kind of an addiction. Once you understand that you've been addicted to the narcissist, it kind of becomes an addiction, I feel, to figure them out. It's just another form of addiction, to analyze them, to ruminate about them, to try to combat them, to try to stop them. And it's not our job. That's what I found out in the end. It's not our job to police what other people are about, what other people do, period. You know, as long as we're looking at them, we're not looking at ourselves or improving ourselves. It's like a crackhead that is thinking about crack without consuming it. That's what I feel a lot of people end up doing in this community, and I want to change that. I want to discuss about methods where we can keep this at bay, where we can change our brains in a way that we can become more goal-oriented, more self-oriented. Even though I do think that there is a place, it really depends on the situation, to stand up to toxic people, to stand up to them, to fight them. There are situations where that's very important to do. I'm going to address those as well. But I'm here to tell you guys that ultimately you realize that these people, the only reason why they got you, the only reason why they were able to put you in a corner is because this is the only thing they do. Imagine locking yourself in a room and doing one thing for the rest of your life. If it's the only thing that you do, you're going to be great at it. You're going to be great at it. And at some point, I realized that I don't want to be a person that only thinks about this, only ruminates about this. And the next frontier with narc abuse is realizing that there's a whole new world out there, that in order to forget this, in order to really put it behind you, you have to improve your self-esteem. Because your self-esteem, and this is the next frontier, the journey, is the narc's worst nightmare, is the sociopath's worst nightmare. And we're not talking about the sociopaths that are shooting people in a war zone. Okay, that's a different story. And in that case, you have to pick up a gun and shoot them back. But I'm talking about the psychological aspect of sociopathic abuse. They will never get you if you get you. If you have a self, if you have a self-esteem. Because the moment they realize that you have a self-esteem, they can't play the game. And I honestly believe that if you've been through this awakening once, and you fully understood the movements of the predator, there is a very small chance that you will ever experience this again. I used to think that it's inevitable that I'm going to keep meeting these people, and that there's nothing that I could do to defend myself from them. It's a situation that only you can get yourself out of. And so, the next leg of my vlogging journey is going to be geared towards how we can build our self-esteem. And I want to take that journey with all of you, survivors of this. I want to figure out how we can be people that are going to be for ourselves instead of against ourselves. And I welcome any questions, I welcome any comments, and again, this is going to be a paid channel. I'm going to turn it into a channel where you can either donate or ask questions, and if I see that you've donated, I will answer them to the best of my ability. I love all of you, and never give up battling.